everybody, I'm Mallory from Quebec Homestead. Welcome to another Shed Wars gardening video. Today we're going to be talking about sunchokes, and I'm also going to be weighing in this harvest because I got a ton of them. I'm also going to tell you the uses and why I plant sunchokes in my garden. My daughter's just out there trying to get the old garden cleaned out. She's so sweet. For you guys that are new here, I am a homesteader. I've been at this homestead here for 4 years now, and Ben and I, we are trying to rebuild this old, it was an old milk farm actually, and it was not doing anything for the past like 30 years. So we are trying to rebuild it and bring it back to life 1 year at a time. I do have a short growing season. I am in zone 3. My last frost date is June 20th to June 24th. So stay tuned to know everything that I grow. I actually have pretty amazing gardens when it's in bloom, so it's starting up. Finally. I recently got a shout out from Roots and Refuge Farms, so thank you, Jess, for that shout out, and welcome to all the subscribers that came in from her channel. That is amazing. I'm very happy to have you in my cold Quebec climate. I came out to the garden yesterday and I harvested some sunchokes, and I was really impressed because I put them in like small. I got them from a local farmer here, and I planted them in the ground last spring. They came up, and I just decided to grow them as an intimacy fence, right? I didn't really want to eat them. I was just like, you know what, I really like the look of them. There's a whole bunch of ways that they can protect your garden as well. So having it planted around your garden is a good, like, or your orchard. Like let's take the orchard for example. You plant them in a really heavy, thick row, and let's say it snows and the stalks stay up because they're like a big sunflower. So look at the sunflowers I have right in front of me here. See, they're still up. So let's say everything snows, you got like 3 to 4 feet of snow in your orchard. All the stalks stay up, and let's say a deer comes in and wants to come in to nibble on your trees. He has to go through that big barrier, and the tops will snap. And when they snap, they become like little stakes, right? And so they want to come in here, but it keeps on poking their belly and their chest. So that's one way to protect your orchard or your garden, is to have that fence around. But you have to make sure to know that sunchokes, which is Jerusalem artichokes, are very invasive. So you do not want to mess around with these guys. You want to make sure that you keep on top of them and their maintenance. I did a little bit of control last year. I didn't plant them too heavily together. This year I'm going to make sure that I have the same amount as last year inside my beds. And I'm going to harvest some, I'm going to eat some, and I'm going to put some back in so that it grows the same as last year. Because I really did love this intimacy fence. Sunchokes are a superfood, and they are full of inulin, which means that they don't have too much sugar in them, which is really cool, because if you like potato-like root veggies, then, and you're like a little guilty because, you know, potatoes aren't the best for you, well, sunchokes, they're a great solution. You got to be very careful when you eat these though, because they are known as artichokes. So you gotta just be careful with that. Actually, one of my friends, Morgan from Goldshaw Farm, is the one that brought it up, and I was like, I'm just gonna go research it before I eat them, just to make sure that I'm gonna process them correctly, right? And I'm very happy I did, because I learned a whole bunch. So this is one plant. This is one plant of artichokes. So yeah, you got to be careful the way that you process these. I'm going to be doing a soup with them, so I'm going to get a nice amount, and I'm going to go slow. I'm going to eat it over the course of a few days. A friend of mine that also have a channel, actually, there's Sydney and Tori. They are the Naked Gardeners. They did a video on this last year, so I'm going to be doing the soup that they suggested. They have the recipe. Oh my gosh, there's so many of them. Okay. So many! So I planted a single row of these, and this year there's just so many, just to show you how many are in this bed. And of course I'm forgetting some. I'm not getting them all, but I'm I'm gonna replant some and I'm gonna harvest some. And I'm gonna plant some somewhere else as well so that I can have some more intimacy fences around the property. Shoot. Are you kidding me? There's so many. Would you look at that? So I'm just gonna go ahead and plant some back in here, and I'm gonna harvest some and plant them somewhere else, just to make sure I don't have too many of them. Sunchokes are packed with protein. So if you like compare to other root vegetables that you have in your garden, these ones have a nice amount of proteins in them. They also have a pretty high value of iron in them. So you would have to, I think for 1 cup of sunchokes, which is just about this much, you would have to eat 3 ounces of red meat for, it's, I think it's your quarter intake of iron in a day is this much here. So if you make a soup out of it, you know, just keep in mind there's a lot of fine iron. There's also a lot of potassium, and so it's really good for you. There's a whole bunch of health benefits that I will list here. There's a lot of them. So you can definitely look into it. It's a really cool harvest that you can have. You can either harvest them in the fall time or in the springtime. I decided to harvest them in the spring because I was just too tired in the fall. So, yeah. One thing you got to keep in mind as well when you are harvesting your sunchokes, you do not want to wait too long before transforming them because they do go bad. Like, you have to wash them off. You don't have to take off the skins when you're doing the soup, which is really cool. It'll be a little bit faster to do. So make sure that you have that recipe ready for when you harvest, because I'm gonna actually go plant some of these on the other side where my sunflowers were last year. And that'll be another part of my intimacy fence that you'll be able to follow this summer. I'm gonna plant these out, and I'm also gonna show you guys the weigh-in at the end of this video, how much I have for Team Woodcutter. Go SHEDWARS21! So I'm gonna remove my stalks. Sunchokes have been showing up a lot as well in the market gardens. A lot more, because it's a very profitable crop to have, since they grow and they multiply so much, and it's also an early crop to have. So, you know, if you're planning on selling a little bit during the summertime and you want to start off with a, you know, beginning little income, then plant some sunchokes. They will grow intensely. All right, my soil is so nice. It's so nice to be able to play in the soil right now. I'm just cleaning out my bed a little bit because my wild raspberries are trying to come in here as well. I'm gonna try to at least prune down the branches that produced last year, and I'm gonna plant in my sunchokes. I have like about 30 feet of wild strawberries, raspberries, which is really cool. I just remove all the ones that I see that produced last year, because the stalks that produced last year will only steal energy and they will not produce any fruit. This one here. It's a good little trick to know. I didn't know that when I first started, and I wasn't getting any raspberries just because I didn't clean these out. Okay. Now in go the sunchokes. I'm gonna dig out 3 trenches, and I'm gonna get 3 rows of sunchokes in here because I got so many of them. Raspberries, stop it! I didn't want to cut you, but you're getting stuck in my hair, so I'm gonna cut you. Ugh. So I'm actually planting this the same as I would potatoes, which is digging in like about a 4-inch trench. I'm just going with my fingers because that's how I roll. And the sunchokes, I noticed, like, this was very compacted soil on the other side. They do like potatoes a little bit too. They loosen up the soil quite a bit. Oh, there's so many earthworms in here. It's amazing. Alright, so I'm just gonna plant up these 2 rows for now. Switch the camera around and get some more out. What is this thing growing in here? Probably more raspberry. I'm gonna grab these sunchokes and I'm gonna pop them in the ground like I would potatoes. That's a really big one, so I'm just gonna plant it like where it's deeper. Right there. Sorry if I'm moving around with the camera a little. I'm just trying to get this done fast because it's almost dinner time and my daughter is gonna be asking for me soon. So when I work in the garden, you guys will notice I work in the garden very efficiently. I try to do things fast. So getting the camera in here doesn't really help. I'm planting them pretty heavily. They're in here. I'm gonna do some more on the where my camera is right here. But for now, these ones are going to be planted. I'm gonna actually come water these a few times to make sure that they take okay. Last year when they started to sprout and waking up, we got some heavy frost, but they survived very well. I had no issues with them. So, more sunchokes. Yay! Planted my first thing in the garden. You guys go search on sunchokes because they're really awesome and beneficial for you. If you're a person that has a hard time digesting apples, maybe sunchokes aren't good for you. So just do your research on them. Or just, you know, grow them as an intimacy fence because they're awesome as well for that. Okay, 7.221 pounds, I guess. And then, there's so many of them, holy. Got it. My eggs, my 4 laying hens laid this just a little bit over a week, 2 full 18 packs of eggs. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put them together on the scale. And that is 5.73 pounds. I don't know why it's like 0.73 and it doesn't do ounces. That's weird. But that is my weigh-in, so the total should be right here. So that's what I got this week. Happy Shed Wars, Team Woodcutter.